January 2026. Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. One of the world's most popular tourist destinations. Suddenly, chaos erupted. Fires, roadblocks, armed cartel members in the streets. The leader of Mexico's most powerful cartel was killed, and his organization responded with unprecedented violence. This is what unfolded across multiple Mexican states. Who was El Mencho? Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, known as El Mencho, leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, Mexico's most wanted man. The United States offered a $15 million reward for information leading to his capture, one of the highest bounties ever placed on a drug trafficker. His cartel didn't just traffic drugs. They operated as a paramilitary organization with nationwide presence across Mexico. CJNG spread from its original power base in Jalisco state to control territory across the country. They rivaled the Sinaloa cartel, the organization once led by El Chapo. El Mencho started as a former police officer before transitioning into organized crime. He built CJNG from the remnants of the Milenio cartel around 2010. The cartel became known for extreme violence and sophisticated military tactics. Armored vehicles, drones, rocket-propelled grenades, capable of downing military helicopters. They didn't hide from confrontation with authorities. They openly challenged the Mexican government's military forces. For years, El Mencho evaded capture despite massive manhunts. He operated from remote mountain compounds in Jalisco's rugged terrain, until Sunday morning, the 19th of January 2026, when everything changed. The military operation, dawn Sunday, January 19th. Mexican military forces carried out a security operation in Jalisco state. The target, El Mencho's compound in the mountains. According to official reports, the operation resulted in El Mencho's death. 4 other cartel operatives were killed in the clash. 3 more were seriously injured. No Mexican military casualties were reported during the operation. The Mexican government did not immediately confirm El Mencho's death publicly, but unconfirmed reports began spreading rapidly through social media and local news. Then came reports of unusual activity across Jalisco state, cars being set on fire, gunmen appearing on streets, roadblocks forming on major highways. By mid-morning, it became clear. CJNG was retaliating. The 4 8-hour nightmare begins. Puerto Vallarta, a coastal paradise that draws millions of tourists annually. Beautiful beaches, luxury resorts, international airport. Within hours of El Mencho's reported death, the city transformed into a war zone. January 18th, evening. The violence started before the official operation was even publicly confirmed. Record rainfall had just hit Sydney. Record rainfall had just hit the region. Heavy storms pushed massive amounts of stormwater into the harbor, creating murky conditions. The chaos began systematically. Costco burning. Video footage showed the Costco warehouse engulfed in flames. Thick black smoke rising over the commercial district where tourists shop. Highway blockades. Cartel members positioned burning vehicles across major roads. They threw spike strips to disable police and military vehicles attempting to respond. Airport chaos. Puerto Vallarta International Airport descended into pandemonium. Tourists stranded, flights canceled, reports of gunfire near the terminal. United Airlines, Southwest, Delta, Alaska Airlines, and Air Canada all canceled flights to Puerto Vallarta as the security situation deteriorated. Bus torching. City buses set ablaze throughout the metropolitan area. The cartel used these burning vehicles as roadblocks to slow military response. The cartel's warning, CJNG released an official message through their communication channels. For the population of Guadalajara, Jalisco, and surrounding areas, we recommend you stay in your homes starting at 2 p.m. onward. We are going to go against anyone found out on the streets. We will not care if they are innocent. That is why you are being warned. Remember and know that there is Mencho for a long time and pure 4 letters. The message was clear. Anyone on the streets would be considered a target. The violence spreads. The chaos wasn't contained to Puerto Vallarta. Guadalajara, Mexico's second largest city, home to millions. Reports of gunfire, burning vehicles, and cartel members openly operating on major streets. Hospital evacuations. The civil hospital in Guadalajara was evacuated due to possible presence of armed CJNG groups in the area. Prison break reports. Unconfirmed reports that cartel members breached a local prison, releasing inmates. 5 states under alert. The U.S. State Department issued shelter-in-place warnings for American citizens in 5 Mexican states. Jalisco State, including Puerto Vallarta and Guadalajara. Tamaulipas State, Nuevo León State. Guerrero State, Nayarit State. Cominati. The violence had spread across hundreds of kilometers. Tourist testimonies. Americans vacationing in Puerto Vallarta described scenes of terror. Beaches suddenly evacuated, hotel staff ordering guests to remain indoors, smoke visible from resort windows, the sound of explosions in the distance. One American described watching from his hotel as fires burned across the city. Another reported being at the Guadalajara airport when shooting started, forcing travelers to shelter in kitchen areas. Taxi drivers became targets. Reports emerged of a taxi being shot at, the driver murdered, and the vehicle set on fire with passengers' luggage and passports burning inside. The cartel's capabilities. Footage emerged showing CJNG members operating with military precision. Tactical gear, body armor, long rifles, pistols on tactical leg holsters. They resembled SWAT teams more than traditional criminals. This wasn't random violence. This was coordinated military-style retaliation. The cartel demonstrated capabilities that rival and, in some areas, exceed Mexican law enforcement. Better armed, cartel members carried weapons equivalent to or superior to police forces. Automatic rifles, armor-piercing ammunition, heavy weaponry. Better funded, CJNG operates a multi-billion-dollar drug trafficking empire. They don't lack resources. The suggested $6 million ransom in unrelated kidnapping cases? Pocket change for an organization generating billions. Better organized. Systematic roadblocks across multiple cities simultaneously. Coordinated attacks on strategic targets. Clear communication chains. The Mexican military may have killed El Mencho, but CJNG proved they could bring entire regions to a standstill in response. The power vacuum question. El Mencho's death created an immediate question. Who takes control? CJNG isn't a one-man operation. The cartel has a hierarchical structure with multiple high-ranking members capable of assuming leadership. But leadership transitions in cartels rarely happen peacefully. Analysts predicted several possible scenarios. Scenario 1. Orderly succession. A designated second-in-command takes control. The organization maintains cohesion. Violence continues but remains focused on rivals and government forces. Scenario 2. Internal conflict. Multiple lieutenants compete for control. Plaza bosses, local territorial commanders vie for power. The cartel fractures into competing factions. Scenario 3. Rival takeover. Other cartels attempt to seize CJNG territory during the leadership vacuum. This triggers broader cartel wars across Mexico. The 48 hours of violence suggested CJNG maintained organizational cohesion. The coordinated response across 5 states indicated command structure remained intact. But the long-term stability? Unknown. One caller to news coverage noted, "The reason Puerto Vallarta was so peaceful was because it was all under control of one big cartel guy. Now multiple cartels are going to be fighting in the streets for control of this area." The Mexican military response. As CJNG violence escalated, Mexican military forces mobilized. Footage showed large-scale deployments, convoys of military vehicles, soldiers in tactical positions, checkpoints established on major highways. The National Guard deployed throughout Jalisco state, armored vehicles positioned at strategic intersections, helicopter patrols over major cities. But the cartel had already made their point. They could paralyze tourist destinations. They could terrify international visitors. They could demonstrate that killing their leader came with consequences. The Mexican government faced a dilemma: escalate military action and risk further civilian casualties, or allow the violence to burn itself out. President Claudia Sheinbaum's administration framed the operation as a major security success, but the aftermath raised questions about the cost of that success. U.S. involvement questions. Rumors circulated that the operation wasn't purely Mexican. Unconfirmed reports suggested U.S. Special Forces participated in the raid that killed El Mencho. The Trump administration had been pressuring Mexico to crack down on cartels. The $15 million U.S. bounty indicated American interest in eliminating El Mencho, but neither U.S. nor Mexican officials confirmed American involvement in the operation. What was confirmed? The timing aligned with increased U.S. pressure on Mexico regarding cartel activity. Trump had previously threatened direct U.S. military intervention against cartels if Mexico didn't act. Whether the operation was joint or purely Mexican, the result was the same. One of the world's most wanted drug traffickers was dead, and his organization was making Mexico pay for it. The tourist nightmare. For the millions who visit Puerto Vallarta annually, the violence was unimaginable. Tourists trapped in hotels, airports closed, no way in, no way out. Families who had saved for dream vacations watching smoke rise over paradise. Honeymooners sheltering in place while cartel violence raged outside. One American living in Puerto Vallarta described the surreal experience. fires visible from his resort, military helicopters overhead, the romantic zone, the main tourist district, looking like a war zone. Another American married to a Mexican national and living near Puerto Vallarta reported seeing cartel members in huge masses moving through his small ranch town toward the tourist areas. The economic impact would be devastating. Tourism drives Puerto Vallarta's economy. International news coverage of burning hotels and stranded tourists would scare away visitors for months, possibly years. The cartel knew this. Targeting tourism wasn't collateral damage. It was strategy. Hit the economy. Make the government pay for taking their leader. The bigger picture. El Mencho's death represents one of the most significant blows to Mexican organized crime in years. CJNG had grown into Mexico's most powerful cartel. They operated across more territory than the Sinaloa cartel at its peak. They had international networks spanning continents. Removing El Mencho should have been a victory. But the 48 hours of chaos revealed an uncomfortable truth. Killing cartel leaders doesn't end cartels. It creates power vacuums. It triggers violence. It endangers civilians. The cycle continues. A new leader will emerge. CJNG will adapt. The drug trade will continue because demand continues. As long as billions of dollars flow through drug trafficking, cartels will exist. As long as corruption exists in both Mexican and American institutions, cartels will thrive. El Mencho is dead, but the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, still very much alive. January 2026. Mexico experienced one of its most violent weekends in recent history. A cartel leader killed, 5 states paralyzed, tourist destinations transformed into war zones, thousands stranded, economic damage in the millions. The Mexican government claimed victory, but at what cost? CJNG proved they could bring regions to their knees. They demonstrated military capabilities. They showed the world that challenging them comes with consequences. The violence in Puerto Vallarta, Guadalajara, and across Jalisco wasn't random chaos. It was a calculated message. We are still here. We are still powerful. Killing our leader changes nothing. The cartel war continues. The drug trade continues. The violence continues. And tourists planning Mexican vacations, they're reconsidering their destination. The killing of El Mencho should have been a major victory against organized crime. Instead, it revealed how deeply cartels have embedded themselves in Mexican society, how powerful they've become, how difficult it will be to defeat them. This wasn't just about one man. It was about an organization that could paralyze an entire region in retaliation. What do you think? Can Mexico defeat the cartels? Or has organized crime become too powerful to stop? Leave your thoughts in the comments. If this opened your eyes to the reality of cartel power in Mexico, hit that like button and subscribe. Because this story isn't over. CJNG will choose a new leader, the violence will continue, and the world will keep watching. Thanks for watching.